Do you enjoy the harvest of Missouri through food, fuel, or fiber? Interested in strengthening your community or making a difference in the lives of others? You're in the right place. This is Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. Join us for thoughtful conversations around the intersections of farmer, rancher, and consumer interests. Grab a seat, press play, and join the conversation.
Welcome to this episode of Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care. Spring is in the air, planters are rolling, and it's yet another season as well. Baseball season has officially kicked off, and we are celebrating this week with the St. Louis Cardinals' first home opener. We are going to kick off this episode by going live to the farm with Fredbird for some behind-the-scenes action.
1, 2, 3, Fredbird!
I'm Diane Slater with the Missouri Pork Association, and I'm here on this gorgeous day just outside of Washington, Missouri with the Deppy family and Deppy Family Farms. They've been raising hogs here since 1950, and I'm with Nicole Desmond, who is the 5th generation on the farm, which I think is amazing, Nicole. We're here as part of Missouri Farmers Care's Race to the Plate program. We're connecting Cardinals Nation fans with the farmers that are producing the real pork for their tables. So Nicole, can you tell us a little bit about the farm?
Yeah, like Diane said, we are actually I'm a 4th generation, and my kids are now of the age where they're the 5th generation to be farming here. This farm was established in 1950 by my grandpa and my great-grandpa, and then my dad and my brother and my cousin were all part of it to make up the 4th generation. We are hog farmers, so annually we sell probably about 35,000 hogs, and then we crop around 5,000 acres of corn and soybeans. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. And so why do you think it's important that we are part of this program?
I think it's wonderful to be part of this program, especially this day and age as there's fewer and fewer of us farmers. And I think to teach the younger generation of where it is that your food does come from. I think there's a lot of people out there that, well, it's the grocery store, and maybe not truly understand where it really comes from. So to me, I love being part of trying to educate people on that and the pride we take, into producing a great product for the consumers.
Yep. So this is kind of the original homestead of the farm.
Yeah.
So can you give us, everything's kind of really close. Can you give us a little tour just standing here where everything's at?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think behind me, you'll probably see out these white buildings out this way. This is what we call finishing barns. So we got some hog barns out here. And then if you look right out over here, this is the house that actually my grandma and grandpa, grew up in and started. And my uncle now lives there, who is part of the farm. And then if we look back this way, we got our fairing houses and our grain storage and our office and our shop with all of our equipment and stuff like that. So the farm, the buildings itself is probably, they're probably located on a little over 5 acres, I say, sitting down here.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to have a great day. We've got all your family here, and it looks like Fredbird just showed up. So we're going to put Fredbird to work on the farm, doing some different things, might help feed.
Always work to do on the farm.
Oh, yes. It's been busy this morning already. So
oh, yeah.
I am so excited. Can't wait for you guys to see the video. We're going to be playing it in the stadiums during Cardinals games this summer, all year long. And so make sure you look out for that. If you're in the stadium, we'll also have it on our social media channels. So back to you, Becky and Ashley.
Thanks, Diane. So in order to ratchet up the excitement and share what Missouri agriculture is doing in the ballpark and partnering with the St. Louis Cardinals, we have Becky Frankenbach with us. Becky is Director of Communications for the Missouri Corn Growers Association and the Missouri Corn Merchandising Council. Welcome, Becky.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yes, so we are in 11 seasons now that we've partnered with the St. Louis Cardinals. The partnership preceded Missouri's Farmers Care formation and showed the power of partnership amongst agricultural groups and agribusinesses, and really gave us a platform in which to put a face to Missouri agriculture and bring those farmers and their stories into the ballpark. 11 seasons later, Fredbird is still a tough act to follow.
He really is. And we so appreciate his willingness to come out and visit farms across Missouri. And he will literally do whatever it takes to show what a farmer does in a day. Whether that is jumping in a combine, jumping in a grain cart, feeding cows, taking off on a four-wheeler ride. I mean, he's a fearless bird. And so he is a hard act to follow, and he's very well liked as well. So he brings a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to the shoots, to these video shoots, but we're also really grateful to the Deppie family and to the other farm families who open up their gates and allow Fredbird to come and spend the day with him and get to experience what life is like on the farm. That's really what this campaign is about. It's showcasing the farmers and the families that are working very hard to produce the food and fiber and connect that with America's favorite pastime. So it's just a great campaign with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. And we're excited to be part of it again for that 11th season.
I remember over a decade ago, Becky, when we're seeing the results of some consumer research, the consumer research which said farmers are more trusted than your family doctor. And I think it was an eye-opening epiphany for us as we sat and thought about what often feels like a disconnect, right, between consumers and agriculture. And yet the hard numbers played out that consumers, families across the state trusted agriculture, trusted farmers and ranchers. The problem was they didn't know what today's farms looked like. So that research led to an epiphany for us, and really after thought and consideration helped drive the development of this campaign, in that there was an opportunity here in partnership with the St. Louis Cardinals to bring farm families and their stories and put a face to what agriculture looks like today in front of millions of dedicated Cards fans. And what a success that initial idea has turned out to be.
Exactly. I mean, we were all, so if you go back to 2009, 2010, Missouri Corn had a small campaign with the Cardinals. The Beef Industry Council had a small campaign with the Cardinals. We all had different little components. And after we saw this research, we thought, how much stronger could we be if we all came together and leveraged those checkoff investments in order to make the biggest bang possible in Busch Stadium? And that was the impetus with this research in hand. And also, if you recall, Ashley, because Ashley and I go way back, if you recall, we also were dealing with an extreme animal rights group who was coming into Missouri with an initiative petition. And that was really what coalesced agriculture, because they were looking for weak states. They were looking for states that didn't have an agriculture presence, that they could come in and easily pass this initiative petition and use it as a benchmark across the rest of the country. And we saw their game and we called them on their game. And all the commodity groups in agribusiness united like they had never united before in order to push back and defeat this group that was coming in to try to tell Missouri farmers how they should farm. And that was a light bulb moment for a lot of the groups when they recognized how we could harness the power and leverage those investments and leverage those partnerships and start working together collectively. And that was the impetus behind Missouri Farmers Care. But it was also the impetus before that with our St. Louis Cardinals campaign. So it's a partnership that I think led the way for a lot of different coalitions down the road. So it's one that we're very proud of, and it still serves a very important purpose. And that is to bridge that connection between the fans in the stands and the farmers growing the food. And I think there's such a disconnect there. And I know it firsthand because before I worked at Missouri Corn and before that Department of Agriculture, I lived and worked in the St. Louis region. I actually went to school there and graduated from St. Louis University. So, you're in your 20s and you're out. And if you're from St. Louis, you know the first question you're going to get when you meet someone. And that is, what high school did you go to? And I could, for the longest time, like, why is everyone asking me this question? It was so frustrating because, number one, you're not going to know the high school that I went to because it was a very small town in central Missouri. So at first I was really irritated by this question. But then I realized that they were just trying to figure out, what part of the world are you from? That was the ultimate goal of this question. So then when I could explain, you're not going to know what school I went to, because I grew up on a dairy farm in central Missouri. And a lot of times that reaction was pretty entertaining to see the look on their face when they realized that I grew up on a dairy farm. And I vividly remember having a conversation with this person, and I told them I grew up on a dairy farm. And they looked at me and they said, so does chocolate milk come from brown cows? And I thought they were joking. Like, I really tried to stifle a laugh because I thought this was haha, very funny. But the look on their face said it was a very serious question. And it was a light bulb that went off that said, this person has no experience with agriculture. They have never met a farmer. The only thing that they know is the food that they see in the grocery store. So it was a great opportunity to start having those conversations about how is dairy cow milk? What does that process look like? What do they eat? And walk through just different questions that if you've grown up in agriculture or if you work in agriculture, you've experienced. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's these questions that people just don't know. So I think that's the beauty of what this campaign does. It aims to reach out to those who don't have a connection to agriculture and put a voice and show the family farmers that are working hard behind the scenes to put the food on the plate.
Absolutely. I love that conversation was the genesis of a passionate agricultural communicator that really sparked a light bulb moment. Wow, what a need there is. But you're exactly right. There's 3.1 million people who are dedicated Cardinals fans. They tune in all the time. And so while a partnership, a sports marketing partnership, essentially is what some people could see this as, seems unconventional, it was a progressive step for Missouri agriculture to go where the people are. We get frustrated. We share our frustrations with each other on social media a lot. The disconnect that we all see or feel or run into, whether it be at the grocery store or see in mainstream media, often just eats at us, right? And we all try our best to open the barn doors, to tell our story, to share our facts. This is just one way to extend that reach to Missouri's urban center. And it's not just St. Louis. It is the map of Cardinals fans stretches throughout the Midwest, in America's breadbasket, but has so many opportunities to connect with those who want to back us, want to support where we are, but just don't have the facts or connection. They can't know their farmer or know their food when there's just no opportunity in their daily lives to get to interact and see agriculture in action. One of the last visits that I had in St. Louis, I had a great conversation with a group of interns, and we were at a communications firm that specializes in agriculture, and they'd hired a new class of interns. And this young man was from St. Louis. His mother grew up with a single mom. His mom didn't have a car. He had literally never been out of the metro area. He'd not been across the bridge into East St. Louis. So you could see the ballpark. We were right there in downtown St. Louis. I could see cornfields in Illinois. He'd never gotten to see them, walk through them, or even drive by those cornfields. So that just highlights when we get to have Fredbird and host Fredbird out on the farm and then take that video to those Cards fans in stadium. They love that interactive experience and love getting to see us being open and sharing with them what goes on when Fredbird's hopping in the tractor to go bale hay or walking down feeding hogs, or any of the different interactions that he gets on planters and combines throughout the year. That's a lighthearted way to show a serious connection with the food, fuel, and fiber in everybody's lives.
Absolutely. I think there's a commitment too that it showcases, Cardinals fans, they are true diehard Cardinals fans. I vividly remember hearing the Cardinals baseball game playing in the milk barn growing up. And it's interesting to watch how baseball and agriculture can transcend generations. I can talk with my dad about Cardinals baseball. My dad talks to my daughter. Every generation can be involved in this game of baseball. And it's the same thing with agriculture. It's a generational thing that we share and a passion that we share. And we want to highlight that commitment and show that there's really a lot more in common with a Cardinals fan than what they might even think. And that's been fun to do along the way, whether we're doing it through the in-stadium videos with Fredbird. But then, Ashley, if you remember, a few years ago, we really stepped up our game with the Cardinals whenever we brought in the farm team.
Yeah.
Every season, it's kind of like farming. Every season in baseball is a little different. And every year we look at it and go, okay, how can we do something different? How can we do something better than the year before? The same conversations that farmers have when they go to plant the crop or when they look at their year ahead. How can we improve? So whenever we brought the farm team mascots into Busch Stadium, bringing in a 7-foot tall Captain Cornelius, a 6-foot tall Sweet Bessie dairy cow, or the Baconeer pig, and bringing them in and having them run and race around Busch Stadium on Friday night home games, and see the excitement of 40,000 fans watching them. It's a cool experience just to, once again, find a way to connect. Did you see that giant ear of corn running around Busch Stadium? But at the same time, you're seeing stats about the corn industry on all the screens in the stadium. So we're really dominating visually what the fans are seeing at that time, because we want them to understand and know that agriculture, while it is very serious and while there is a lot of technology and a lot of research that goes into how we raise our food, that we are Cardinals fans just like them, having fun every step of the way.
And we sure are. And the farm team is nothing but fun. The interaction in a traditional year, the interaction before the game to the on-field experience of getting to see your favorites race, cheer for your favorites, just does bring one more element of fun in that mascot, racing often with Fredbird in that mascot race is a fun way to see the farm team. We gear up our farm team as our planters are gearing up across the state. The farm team's gearing up as the Cards are honing their skills and polishing up and getting ready for the season. So it's been a fun way to add to the interaction of this connection with Cards fans.
And I think, we were all disappointed last year when the farm team was benched due to COVID. And we're excited for this home opener in St. Louis, and we're excited to see fans in the stands. Unfortunately, at this point in time, the farm team is still going to have to sit on the bench until we get a little further into the season. Hopefully, maybe after the All-Star break, they can come out and make their appearance again. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that we still have an opportunity to talk to Cardinals fans in the stadium. So we're going to be having a top 3, kind of testing your ag IQ in the stadium throughout the game. So for example, one lucky fan will get the chance to answer a question. Could be a little bit inside information here, but for example, if one question were to be, what are the top uses of Missouri's corn crop? The top 3 uses. Would that fan be able to know that it's ethanol, exports, and livestock? And so to have the whole stadium cheering that fan on to help find those top 3 answers and maybe receive a small prize for participating, I think that's another way just to bring the conversation back to agriculture. And let's talk about the dairy industry. Let's talk about the corn industry. Let's talk about the hog industry. And let's talk about agriculture in Missouri in general. And it's a way, again, to do it. It's a little bit of information and a lot of fun and excitement at the same time.
Exactly. And great engagement. So I can't wait to see the top 3. And I love to see fans cheering on, the one lucky individual that's selected to answer those questions. So beef up your ag knowledge and let's cheer on those fans this season as they compete to show off their connection with Missouri ag. Well, we appreciate this time visiting with you today, Becky. We appreciate the life that you and the team help breathe into the farm team each and every year. We're thrilled to see spring in the air, to see planters rolling across the state, and to see all of us hit the field. Whether it's in agriculture or inside Busch Stadium and on the road this year, we know it's going to be a successful year, and we're pulling for everybody. There are great opportunities on Missouri Farmers Care social media to see the farm team in action, to see all the elements, and share these with the consumers in your life that may want a better connection with ag. This is one way to open the door to those conversations. So we invite everybody to tune in on social media and help amplify agriculture's efforts to share the truth about agriculture and build connection with those around us.
Exactly. Let's help build that fan base for Missouri agriculture, and they can do it. You'll hear the messages during the Cardinals game on the Cardinals radio network. You'll see it in Cardinals Game Day magazine and on that score sheet. That's a great collector's item. You'll see it through the in-stadium elements with Fredbird on the Farm videos and our top 3 Ag IQ quiz game. And then also there's a growth poster giveaway for kids this year that will be taking place featuring Cardinals pitcher Jack Flattery. So we're excited to kick that off and to help kids measure their growth as they grow throughout the seasons. We have one at our basement from many years ago that we're using for our daughter. And we hope that other kids will be able to use that and see if they measure up and how they measure up to this Cardinals pitcher throughout the years. So it's going to be a fun season. We're excited about it, and we're happy to have all the help and support throughout the years.
Our thanks to everybody who makes this effort possible, and thanks to everybody who tunes in. It's been a great conversation. This has been a wonderful interlude in our entrepreneurship series. A fun way to celebrate the home opener of the Cardinals in Busch Stadium. So thanks everyone for tuning into this episode of Stand for Ag with Missouri Farmers Care, and we'll be back next episode talking about those tools, tricks, and insights for some successful entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship stories across Missouri agriculture. Until next time, this is Ashley for Missouri Farmers Care, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for joining the Stand for Ag podcast with Missouri Farmers Care. We're excited to bring you new stories each week. We as agriculturalists have a lot of stories to tell. Stories of resilience, grit, and stories of families that are united by their passion for agriculture. Each week, tune in for a new episode and join the conversation.